My sister made secret copies of my beach house keys and gave them to the family. But when she paid $1,000 for special access, I donated her money to charity and exposed her in front of 30 relatives. I'm 39 years old, I work in financial consulting, and I need to tell this story because I still can't believe my own sister did something like this. I mean, when I say she betrayed me, I'm not exaggerating. She literally took my generosity and turned it into something completely twisted. I guess I should start from the beginning, because the truth is, I was always the responsible older sister. You know, the one who studied while Emily partied, the one who saved every penny while she bought things she didn't need. I don't mean to sound arrogant, but I busted my ass for years to be able to buy that vacation house. It was my dream since I was like 25, and finally, at 37, I was able to make it happen. It's a beautiful little house near the beach. Nothing fancy, but it's mine. You know what I mean? Every piece of furniture, every dish, every damn towel I bought with my own money. Emily, my younger sister, is 31 years old and married to Michael, a guy who's basically had like 5 different jobs in the last 3 years because he can never keep one for more than a few months. They have 3 kids, poor children, and honestly, their financial situation has always been a disaster. It's not that I judge her for that. Life is hard and sometimes things don't work out like you expect. But Emily has this thing where she acts like the world owes her something. Like we all have to solve her problems. She's always been like that. Even when we were kids, Mom and Dad always bought her whatever she asked for while I had to earn everything. But anyway, that's another story. The thing is, like 8 months ago, we were at a coffee shop having lattes. E paid, obviously. And Emily looked really tired, like bags under her eyes down to the floor. And she started telling me they hadn't gone on vacation in years, that the kids asked her why they never went anywhere like their school friends, that Michael was stressed with his new job and that she felt like she was going to explode if she didn't get away from everything for a bit. And look, I'm not made of stone. She's my sister, and I love her even though she drives me crazy sometimes. So I told her, hey, why don't you guys use my beach house for a week? I can rearrange my schedule and you can go. No cost. You just have to buy the food and that's it. You should have seen her face. Literally, her eyes lit up and she hugged me so hard she almost knocked my coffee over. She told me I was the best sister in the world, that she didn't know how to thank me. All that stuff. I gave them the keys like 2 weeks later. I explained where everything was. I told them to treat the house with respect because it was very important to me. And they left super excited with the kids screaming in the car. I was checking in with Emily during the week. She sent me photos of the kids at the beach, of the dinners they made. They looked happy, and I felt good about being able to help, you know? Like I was thinking, this is what you work hard for? To be able to do nice things for the people you love. When they came back, the house was clean, everything in order. Emily returned the keys to me and thanked me like 1,000 times. I thought everything had gone perfectly. Like 2 months passed. I continued with my normal life. I went to the beach house every 3 or 4 weeks to disconnect from work. Everything peaceful. Until one Tuesday afternoon, I was in a super boring meeting when my Aunt Diana called. Now, my Aunt Diana is one of those people who only calls when they need something or when there's gossip, so I already knew something weird was happening. I answered during the break and she said, Rebecca, thank you for letting me use the house this weekend. Emily gave me the keys and my friends and I are super excited. And I was just like, what? I literally couldn't process what I was hearing. I told her, Aunt, what are you talking about? I didn't give you permission to use my house. And she got all uncomfortable and said, oh, sorry, honey. Emily told me that now you were letting the family use it, that you had said it was okay. I hung up and called Emily immediately, like my hands were shaking from the rage I felt. She answered all casual, like nothing, and I said, did you give keys to my house to Aunt Diana? And she was silent for a second, then started with, oh, Rebecca, don't get mad. I just thought you wouldn't mind. The house is sitting there empty most of the time anyway. Can you believe it? She was justifying having given my keys to another person without even asking me. I asked her, who else did you give keys to? And that's when I knew the thing was worse than I thought. She started stuttering and making excuses. And basically, I had to force the information out of her. Turns out the idiot had made copies of my keys, not 1 or 2, like 5 copies. and had given them to various family members, telling them I had said they could use the house whenever they wanted. I confronted her at her house 2 days later because this wasn't something to talk about over the phone. I arrived, and she was there with Michael and the kids, and I said, "We need to talk outside." We went out to the patio, and I let her have it. I told her she had completely violated my trust, that house was my private property. How dare she make copies of the keys without my permission? And you know what she did? She got defensive immediately. She told me I was selfish, that I had that big house I only used once in a while the family needed it. What would it cost me to share a little? She literally called me stingy, said I'd always been like that I only thought about myself. I was so angry I felt like I was going to have a stroke, like I could hear my heart beating in my ears. I told her, "Emily, that's not the point. The point is that it's my house and you have no right to give keys to anyone without my permission." And she just rolled her eyes and said something like, "Oh, please, Rebecca, stop being so dramatic." I left there furious. I cried in the car because I couldn't believe my own sister saw me as some kind of bank or resource she could use however she wanted. That night, I didn't sleep at all. I just thought about what to do. The next day, I called a locksmith and changed all the locks on the house. I spent like $800, but I didn't care. I needed to feel like my space was mine again. I also called each family member Emily had mentioned, explained the situation to them, and asked them to return the keys. Most apologized, said they didn't know Emily didn't have my permission. But there were a couple who got kind of weird, like I was the bad guy in the story. But here comes the good part, because I'm not one of those people who just let things go. I was thinking for weeks about how to make Emily understand the magnitude of what she had done, and I came up with a plan that, I don't know, maybe was a little cruel, but honestly I think she deserved it. I sent her a message like 2 weeks after changing the locks, all sweet and nice, telling her I'd been thinking and that maybe I had overreacted, that I understood she just wanted to do something nice for the family. I told her I had decided to create a family rental program where relatives could use the house by paying only a security deposit of $1,000 that would be returned to them if they left everything in good condition. I told her that since she was my sister, she would have priority on dates and that if she was interested, she could be the first to sign up to set an example for the others. Emily took the bait completely. She responded super excited, telling me she knew I was going to come to my senses, that this was much fairer, that of course she wanted to be first. We coordinated to meet, and she gave me the $1,000 in cash, which probably came from some credit card that was already maxed out. But whatever. She gave me the money and I gave her an official receipt with the date and everything. She was happy. She hugged me, told me this was going to be great for the family. What Emily didn't know is that I was already planning my perfect revenge. Turns out my cousin Michelle, who's super gossipy but also super loyal to me, had told me that Emily had been bragging all over the family chat about how she had convinced her stingy sister to share the house, that she was the only one with special access, basically making herself the hero of the family. She even said I had given her a special discount on the deposit because we were sisters. Total lie. Everyone was going to pay the same according to my story. So I thought, perfect. If you want to put on a show, I'm going to give you a show. I waited like 3 weeks. Let Emily keep bragging and building this whole story. Then Uncle Robert's birthday came around. There was a huge family barbecue. There were going to be like 30 people. I arrived with a super friendly smile, greeted everyone, helped set the table, behaved completely normal. Emily was there with Michael and the kids. She greeted me all confident, even winked at me like we had some kind of special complicity. When everyone was already eating, I stood up and said, "Hey family, I want to make an announcement." Everyone got quiet and looked at me. I said, "I know there's been some confusion about my beach house, and I want to clear things up once and for all." Emily looked super relaxed, probably thinking I was going to officially announce the rental program and make her look good. Then I said, "A few weeks ago, Emily gave me $1,000 as a deposit to use the house, telling everyone there was a special family rental program. And this is when I completely changed my tone. I said, well, I have to confess something to you. There never was such a program. That program was a complete invention of mine to teach Emily a lesson about what it costs to violate someone's trust." The silence that followed was brutal. Like you could hear people breathing. I kept talking. I said, "When I lent her my house months ago, Emily decided to make copies of the keys without my permission and distribute them to several of you, making you believe I had authorized that. Not only did she violate my privacy and my property, but she also lied to you. So I decided to give her a taste of her own medicine. The $1,000 she gave me has already been donated to a charity organization, and I have the receipt right here if anyone wants to see it. Emily's face was something worth photographing. Literally, she turned red as a tomato, then pale, then red again. Michael looked confused. The kids were playing and didn't understand anything, but the rest of the family was in total shock. Some looked uncomfortable, others were trying not to laugh, and I saw Uncle Robert choking on his beer. Emily jumped up and yelled, "You're a damn psychopath, Rebecca. How can you do this to me?" And I said super calmly, "I could ask you the same thing. How? Could you make copies of my keys and hand them out like nothing?" Emily tried to get the family on her side. She started saying I was vindictive, that I was crazy, that all this was an exaggeration over some simple keys. But Aunt Diana, who's pretty direct, said, "Emily, she's right. What you did was wrong. It was her property." And there others started giving their opinion. Basically, everyone agreed that Emily had crossed the line. My cousin Michelle, bless her, said something like, Emily, it's not like Rebecca forced you to give her the money. You did it yourself, believing you were going to have special access again." Emily grabbed her kids and Michael, and they left the barbecue yelling that we were a horrible family. Honestly, when she left, I felt this mix of satisfaction and also like a little bit of guilt, but mostly satisfaction. The rest of the day, the family talked about nothing else. Some thought I had gone too far. Others said Emily deserved it. I stayed firm in my position. I said, "Look, it's not really about the money or the house. It's about the fact that she crossed a huge line and needed to understand the consequences." What followed was basically Emily becoming the family joke. I don't know if this sounds horrible, but people started making memes about her in the family chat, like photos with captions like "when you think you're smart but you get the bill" and stuff like that. At every family gathering after that, someone made some passive-aggressive comment about keys or deposits, and Emily just turned red and shut up. Her reputation was basically destroyed. And the worst part is that Michael also started looking bad because everyone knew he had agreed to the key thing. Like 2 weeks after the barbecue, I sent Emily the official donation receipt by email. I had donated the $1,000 to an organization that helps homeless families, and I put in the subject line, "In your honor." She didn't respond. I just saw that she opened it like 5 times according to the email tracking. I also sent a formal email to the whole family, explaining the rules about my house. No one could use it. Without my explicit permission, there would be no rental programs or anything like that. And any person who needed a favor could ask me directly, but with plenty of advance notice. The relationship with Emily was basically destroyed. We haven't talked properly since then, just curt messages like "Happy birthday" or "Happy holidays" when it's absolutely necessary. Mom has tried to get us to make peace, but honestly, I don't know if I want to. Every time I think about it, the rage comes back. Like, how could you do that? How could you take my generosity and turn it into something so ugly? The trust was broken in a way that I don't know if it can be repaired. At family gatherings now, it's super awkward. Emily arrives late on purpose to avoid interacting much. She sits at the other end from where I am, and if we have to talk, it's all super cold. And formal. The kids ask me sometimes why their mom and I don't talk like before, and I don't know what to tell them. It's not their fault that their mom did what she did. Michael doesn't even look me in the eyes. I think he's embarrassed about the whole situation. The crazy thing is that several family members have told me privately that I did the right thing, that Emily needed someone to put a stop to her because she's always been kind of a user with everyone. But there are also others, like my Aunt Patricia, who think I went too far with revenge, that families should forgive and forget. And I understand that point, but I also think, at what point is it okay for someone to violate your privacy and your property just because they're family? Where do you draw the line? I've thought a lot about this over the last few months. Sometimes I feel bad, like maybe I should have handled things differently. Maybe I should have just talked to her more seriously and that's it. But then I remember her attitude when I confronted her the first time, how she called me selfish and stingy, how she didn't show even a little bit of remorse for what she had done. And I think, no, she needed to learn this lesson the hard way, because clearly talking wasn't going to work. The other day, I went to the beach house. It was the first time in weeks, because I'd been busy with work. I sat on the porch watching the ocean and thought about this whole situation. The house feels different now, like it carries all this weight from what happened. But it also feels more mine. You know what I mean? Like, before there was this feeling that I had to justify why it was mine or why I didn't share it more, and now it's just mine, period. Nobody questions that. I don't know if Emily and I will ever be able to have a normal relationship again. Part of me misses my sister. I miss being able to call her to tell her things or make plans together like before. But another part of me, the part that's still angry, thinks she has to take the first step, that she has to really apologize and acknowledge what she did wrong. And honestly, I don't think that's going to happen. Emily isn't one of those people who admits when they're wrong. Last week, there was another family gathering, a baby shower for a cousin. Emily was there with Michael, and at one point our eyes met from opposite sides of the yard. There was this second where I thought maybe she was going to come talk to me, but she just looked away and kept talking to whoever she was with. And in that moment, I understood that this is what it is now. This is our new normal. We're not actively fighting, but we're not really sisters anymore either. We're just two people who share blood and go to the same family events. And I guess I have to accept that. As much as it hurts,